Guess we should get started.
Yeah.
I got so much to talk about to you, but
Okay.
I've been listening to Cool Story podcast.
Oh,
Very
okay.
interesting duo.
That's
Very
fun.
interesting. I'm on the last episode of The Great Hunt,
Ooh.
but
That's such a good ending. The Great Hunt has such a good end.
yeah,
Anyway.
but I'll shout them out, I guess, because I've been listening to them. All right, I guess we should get started.
Welcome to Another Turning. I'm Jessi, and my brother Ben and I are on a quest to inform everyone about the upcoming Amazon adaptation of Wheel of Time, our hopes, our fears, and our grand opinions. Follow along as we revisit some of the history of the series' path to the screen and predict what is yet to come.
Welcome to the next episode of Another Turning.
Today we're taking our total joke and making it a reality, and we're going to be designing a Wheel of Time Monopoly board.
Yeah, we've been trying to think of what to do, and I have one idea that I need to do a lot of prep work. Honestly, the biggest prep work is just making sure I put a good PSA announcement out at the beginning because it's a controversial topic.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, well, it's the Sean Chan one. So,
Okay.
I want to do it proper. That's an idea I have, and that's a long-term project, I feel, because it's a tough subject. But no, this is a fun thing, and I think it's a cool idea. Is everybody talks about what's going on with the show, but this is the stuff I'm excited for. I don't know about you, but I'm excited for the merchandise. I have never bought a themed Monopoly game. I've never bought a theme. I think I have a couple of Funko Pops or something like that, but
we have Game of Thrones Monopoly, but we didn't buy that.
Yeah, it was just given to us. I should have pulled that out rather than looking up images online. But
we have like 3 Monopoly boards at home, Ben.
Oh, I know, but it's just I've never been excited about buying that stuff, and I'm curious, and I wanted to look into it. Okay, so prep for this, I was looking up. First of all, I was trying to remember what a Monopoly board looked like. Then I was looking at themed Monopoly boards, and the Lord of the Rings one has some weird like tracker in the middle of the board, like it has some other like
that's fun.
non-normal Monopoly thing, and I'm curious about.
That's fun.
A whole nother thing.
Should we, I guess for this, what kind of spoiler level? Oh, geez, why does it do that? What kind of spoiler level are we talking for this?
So that was another question I was thinking of. Do we want to create a Monopoly board that spans the whole series, or do we want to try to focus on things that would be released in the first season? In some ways, I think that'll make it easier, but other things may be more difficult.
So I was definitely, when we like talked about this before, my thoughts were definitely going full series. Mostly, yeah, because I don't think they go to enough locations in book 1 and 2 to really.
Yeah.
All right, so
I mean, here
spoilers.
Let's think. Okay, they release the show. Season 1 comes out. Starts. When do you think they would release a Monopoly game?
It would have to be. No, it wouldn't be the last season, but it would have to be after there was considerable like popularity for it. Because like Monopoly doesn't come out right away. It's not a Funko Pop where you're just like the second people are watching it, it's out. Like you need to get a little level of notoriety. So maybe like season 3. Let's maybe do through book 6. Half of it. Let's do like the halfway.
Yeah, and I wish, and that's the one thing I didn't look up. I should have looked up like Game of Thrones. Like when did that Monopoly come out? I think going about the halfway, so we're talking about book 6. So I guess first of all, for people who are, obviously if you're listening, and for everybody both watching and listening, I guess that means a spoiler warning through book 6, which is, give me a second.
The first 6 are easy, Ben. Come on.
Why can't I remember number 6? Fires of Heaven is number 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Crown of Swords?
Nope. I think that's 8.
Or am I skipping a book or 2? Shadows Rising is 4. Fires of Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of Chaos. Gosh, I would have gotten there. So okay, spoiler warnings through Lord of Chaos, Um, it probably won't be. If you do want to, if you're one of those people that Monopoly, it's gonna be mostly locations, which can give
I don't
slight
know.
things away.
I have a particular idea for the railways that might be a bit of a spoiler. But yeah, it's not like going to be giving you major plot things. We're not going to be like, well, remember when this
I
happened?
have to. When Lord of Chaos was the farm, I'll use that term, established. Is that established yet?
Yes, Ben. Do you remember the end of Lord of Chaos?
Look, it's been a while. And all the first time readers are still on like book 2, 3, or 4.
It depends. Leslie's on 10 now.
Well, she's a whole nother story. Because
a lot of them are at 5 actually, which is a little frustrating.
That had to do with my idea for the utilities.
Oh yeah.
It's a very
all right.
easy one.
So in that case, so let's assume book 6 spoilers, and if I need to change our intro, I can do that. But book 6 spoilers. So let's get started. Do we want to start at go around? Do we want to start with the properties? How do we want to do this, Ben?
All right. So, well, first of all, I wanted to say is one thing I noticed from looking at themed Monopoly is the 4 corners are pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. They don't change at all. So it's still go, jail and visiting, free parking, and go to jail, which I thought was interesting. Is they might change the background color, little things like that, and we're not Photoshop people. If I knew how to use Photoshop really well, I would love to do this and do all the crazy stuff of like editing the background, but
right now I can't even get it to work.
Is it lagging on you?
It's like not Zoom, its Paint is being like
well, we can talk through it. And
okay, you know what, I can just let me try not doing. What if I just draw? It'll look bad, but it gives us a rough idea, and that way I don't have to deal with. Okay, so they don't do like themed stuff for like the jail or anything?
Not really. Like I said, for the most part, it was exactly the same as the original board, with maybe like instead of I don't know what kind of mint green color the Monopoly board is. Mm-hmm. There are some that, like I think the Star Wars one, it was like a darker color.
Right, they changed the color, but
that was about it.
Really?
So that didn't really change too much.
Because I was thinking, I mean, if we wanted to, this could make a really great Sheo goal in the jail. But if they don't do that,
the problem is of course I'm trying to look at Google Images, or I was going to Amazon and like looking up the board games and looking at their images, so they weren't 100% clear. They might change wording, and that's something that's always possible. But the actual like look of it was the same.
Okay, well, I'm going to make it shapeable.
It's like, I'm not going to try to describe what all those 4 tiles look like. But those are little things that I don't think would be huge that could be changed to saying Sheol Ghoul or something.
Yeah, but still it would look like the jail, obviously. The image is still, don't know how to spell Sheol Ghoul. This video.
The other 2 things that didn't change as much, but I think could ease the money, for instance. That was another thing that it was about 60-40 on whether or not they changed it 50-50.
So like some other, like, you mean the costs change, or like what the units are?
Like for instance, there's a Lord of the Rings Monopoly that they're like cardboard tokens that look like coins, but most of them still use the money. Images may be changed on them, but
yeah, I think like, doing the
paper money.
Yeah, the paper money coins or cardboard coins, one, are messy, but also like they're just not necessary. And this would be go to Sheol Ghoul.
And see, this is the thing where I'm like, if obviously this is fictional, this isn't what's going to happen, but if they were going to create it, it would be cool if they replaced the policeman with a Murdraw.
That's what I was just thinking, but you said they don't change the images, so
it didn't seem like it.
All right,
I guess it's because it's Monopoly, they got to keep something
Yeah.
classic about Monopoly.
Well, yeah. Which makes sense, but I mean, it would be cute if he had a little a little eyeless with his little. Oh, that'd be cute. Anyway, okay. Let me zoom back out.
So for the money, the only thing I thought for the money is it would have the classic snake and wheel of time symbol as a watermark kind of concept to it.
Okay, yeah, that would work.
It'd be simple. And then I guess we should start on
maybe the special spaces.
Yeah, special stuff. So chance and community chest. Let's start with those real quick.
Okay.
There's a couple of ideas. We could go Angreal and Sa-Angreal.
Maybe. Nah, I don't know that I like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Door to the. No, never mind. I would use that for taxes if I was going to use the doors to the elfin.
That would be cool. I think because like chance is like luck or odds, so it could be if you wanted to do like Matt's luck, and then for community chest do like something with Perrin.
That's if one way of doing it. So you could do roll the dice or crowns, and what's the other dice game actually is that one possibility.
Crowns. I like crowns for chance, doing crowns because that's like Matt's like chance game that he plays. Crowns.
So yeah, doing crowns and having the picture of 5 dice with the crowns showing would probably be the best concept. And you know what? Honestly, the difference between listening and watching to this isn't much because we are by no means set up to do an artistic anything.
I mean, it's fine. It's just the idea, and then I'll make like this will give us the rough draft idea, and then I'll go through later and like make it really pretty. And when we post this, I'll make sure
fun.
I'll make sure to post like a PDF or a link or whatever to our actual board that's finished and pretty. So chance goes here.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna put a C for crowns.
So community chest.
A die.
Like I'm trying to think like certain things I was seeing.
Well, I'm thinking of like what the cards tend to be for that, and it's like, I don't know.
The one example that I thought was good was like the Legend of Zelda one. It was treasure chest and empty bottle.
Yeah. Well, see, here's honestly, what I keep thinking looking at the community chest is Rand in a box. That's terrible.
Wow.
I
know. Because we went with the crowns, I don't think obviously any kind of Angreal kind of stuff would work for it. Could go with stones if we wanted to go with another game themed thing.
Ooh, that would be fun. Yeah, we could do that. So these C's are for crowns, and then do with stones.
I mean, it gives it a similar theme. Because it's just cards. They don't give a special name to the card games at all.
No, I don't think so.
And the only other, I don't know if the Queen's, what is it called for the bakers? I don't think that would work. Giving money out to people, it's not quite the same.
Oh yeah. There's that, or I'm trying to think like community chest is like, go and get that. Let's see. What is it? The Queen's Ransom? That doesn't seem right.
Something like that.
I kind of like that, going with that, because it kind of has the same vibe as community chest.
I mean, you'd be surprised though, looking at like
how unrelated it actually is to the original.
Well, themed Monopoly boards. And I'm sitting here because, rather than download a bunch of images, I just looked. I'll just like pull up some themed boards if I can real quick. They're both called quests on that, but this is the Lord of the Rings one, which has some weird stuff that I don't.
That has some weird rules. Yeah, we're not getting that fancy with it.
Star Wars, a holocron, and Jedi training. So I mean, they don't have to really connect to the concept of community chest and chance as much.
Okay, so crowns and
as it
stones is fun.
seems. There's a Disney villainous one where it's a poisonous apple and still the question mark like chance. So there's so I think stones, if we wanted to keep with the game theme, would possibly work.
I think that's cute. Crowns and stones it is. All right.
I mean, this Game of Thrones one on Amazon, they're both still called chance, but this is some weird thing.
Yeah. The only other thing is if we wanted to would be do snakes and foxes would be the other option. Like snakes and foxes for your 2 cards.
That is one option, but I'm starting to think that the realm of the Eelfin and Eelfin or something along those lines could work for either
the taxes,
luxury tax, or whatever the other one is,
income tax. So we want to make the taxes snakes and foxes. Do we want it snakes and foxes or Eelfin and Eelfin?
I think Eelfin and Eelfin, because snakes and foxes are connected to the game, where the Eelfin and Eelfin, which I always forget which is which.
Doesn't matter.
They have only one of them has a cost involved, but
well, I'm sure
unless you have a better idea for a kind of tax related thing.
No, I like it. Eelfin and Eelfin is cute.
I don't know. That honestly I didn't think of before this, because like I said, I was debating on whether or not to keep it to the first season. But
look, for some reason the text tool wasn't working. I don't know why it wasn't.
I know, it's fine. But so obviously, I mean, for people who are listening to this probably is actually better for you guys than it is for us.
Ben's over here like, don't watch our videos, they're trash. Anyway.
So what other things? The other big things would be utilities and
railroads. So utilities, I think we were thinking the same thing for utilities, but what were you thinking?
Yeah. Obviously the White Tower and the Black Tower.
So do you think it should be White Tower and Black Tower, or just Sidene and Sidar?
Or Sidene and Sidar. That would make it probably, again, because we're thinking going halfway through the season, but that could be used earlier if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
How did I not think of Sidene and Sidar earlier?
I don't know. And
That's so obvious.
Sidene for electric. Sidene.
I think my mind was just so focused on buildings is why I thought, well,
yeah, that makes sense. And Sidar for the waterworks, because women are good with water.
Sure. Where does electricity fall in the channeling spectrum?
I feel like it's probably some combination of fire and maybe air.
Yeah, that's what I would think too.
Okay, Sidar. I know what it means. Okay. Then the railroads. So what I was thinking, because railroads are how you get around, I was thinking different forms of transit. So we have the portal stones, the ways, traveling, and skimming was what I was thinking.
And this is what's interesting, and I'm just gonna talk about this because I was talking with our dad about it. I'm like, if we kept it to the first season, I was thinking, different way gates. Specifically, like named like Camelin Waygate.
But we don't have
Feldara Waygate, Kyrian Waygate, Stedding Sofu Waygate.
Yeah, they could
potentially
be the
the first season
if we wanted to. The other thing would be horse names, but like I don't know that the first book we really focus on horse names. But there's obviously famous horses. There's Pips, there's Bella, Judaine, And
I don't know. I would almost go with Mandarb.
Mandarb and
Pips.
Aldaib. There you go. Pips. Pips doesn't come till like way later. I don't know why, but yeah, Bella, Mandarb, Aldaib, and Pips, I guess.
Aldaib doesn't even seem that famous of a horse. But,
no.
But
Pips,
is one of those
who comes
things
in at like book. Oh shoot! Well, I feel like a horse's name isn't a spoiler.
But I feel like looking at this is another thing I was looking at is most of them they were forms of travel. There were a few that weren't. There was also like the Star Wars one. They all said light speed, which was confusing to me.
That's really dumb. I mean, unless there's some other rule, I don't know. But
I think you're saying forms of travel because, like I said, I looked at the Legend of Zelda one, and it was like the train from the Spirit Train. It was like a boat. It was some weird, I forget. There were things. I don't play Legend of Zelda enough, obviously, because I didn't recognize them all. But I think you have a good. I think definitely a Waygate, Portal Stone.
Yeah. What would the image be, though? Because it should be a consistent image.
Oh, that's the only... They don't have to be for a themed one, actually.
Oh, they aren't? Okay.
For instance, the Game of Thrones one of them was the 4 houses, big houses, Stark.
Oh, yeah.
Lannister, Breath. And they had different images.
So it would be like...
I don't know if I like the fact that both skimming and traveling are...
You think just do a gate? Well, what's another form of travel that? I mean, I guess we could just do
the only issue.
Because we could do a gateway, but then we need something else.
I'm trying to think what other things that work well in 4s, if there is anything else.
Because I would be fine combining skimming and traveling into one, but we need something else. Unless we just want to put like horse.
And I was debating that, and obviously I'd probably, switch it also. Although I don't think the railroads have any kind of... It's the concept that the earlier spots are usually the less important stuff. I'd probably do like, horse-drawn carriage as like, the first one. But ooh, nah, would Teleron Riyadh in some way be considered a...
That was the other thing I was thinking, because we do know Egwene uses that as a form of transit. Sure, why not?
And we could just have the Dream Terangrial as the image for it.
Yeah, so you'll have like a portal stone, a Waygate, the Dream Terangrial, and then...
I'm almost debating, is there something else besides traveling that is a Terangrial we could use, kind of similar to like a structure, similar to, Portal Stone or...
I don't know.
But no, there isn't anything else that works for that.
Okay, cool. And so I think that gives us everything except the actual properties themselves.
And see, now this gets... I don't know if it's easier in some ways, but harder in other ways when we're expanding how much of the series we go by.
Well, I guess, through book 6, they've gone most places-ish.
Well, typically you'd go in order of timeline, smallest to biggest, or something along those lines.
Is that how you want to do it?
Well, there are some easy ones.
Well, because I'm thinking, if we want it to be, do we want every color to be a country? Is that how we want to do it?
That one, well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4,
Andor,
5, 6, 7,
Kyrie.
8.
So Andor, Kyrian, Shinar, Tyr, Ilion. It's whether or not we can find that many cities in there is kind of the problem.
But that's a little bit too big, because I feel like, you say the country of Andor, but then you can't really include... Do you include the 2 rivers and make Andor the first, like Camelin and the 2 rivers as the brown ones, which Camelin does not feel like it's worth that much.
Well, you could have the 2 rivers be separate from Andor. So you could have the 2 rivers and have like Emmons Field and Devon Ride, or there's 4.
I would go with Tarn Ferry.
And then we could have Andor could be Whitebridge, Camelin, and Barillon.
Well, let's work through this, okay? So, because like I said, timeline based. I think the first two being Emmons Field and either Tarn Ferry or Emmons Field and Barrelon. No, because there's nothing else that would go with.
Hey, it's working. Nice.
Yeah, that's like it's so visible.
Well, I'm working on it.
I know. I definitely think you need to have either the two rivers as a whole. So it's either Emmons Field and Tarn Ferry, or two rivers and Barrelon for the first two.
So you're going with like, let's go in the order they travel?
That makes the most sense in some ways. It's the easiest way to do it without getting super complicated, because what would be considered actually, I mentioned Black Tower and White Tower. The blue ones could be the White Tower and the Black Tower potentially.
If we wanted to,
for Boardwalk and Park Place, they're the most expensive, but they're the most powerful. It makes sense.
I would be okay with that. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna do Emmons Field, Tarn Ferry. Although you were saying these should be switched, but.
Well, yeah.
And then I think you're right. White Tower and Black Tower for our blue properties.
If we don't go timeline based, it would be like, how do you do value based on locations they've been, I guess. But they have to be related in some way also for the same color. And that's where it gets difficult outside of, like I said, White Tower and Black Tower are easy for the blue ones, the most expensive properties. I don't know how else to decide two properties that are connected in some way. And actually, I don't know if in, normal Monopoly, if they're connected really in any way.
I have no idea. I don't know nearly enough about, what are they, New York City locations? I don't know nearly enough.
Something like that. But at least in, when you theme it, I mean, you have these different colors. Why not connect them to each other?
Right, obviously. So they have to be connected in some way. So you were thinking just go in the order they like travel in. I think going by like country is a good idea. Or like location. Let me switch Emmons Field and Tarn Ferry. Wow, this is much easier now that I'm typing. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I mean, going by location based, and I feel like timeline just works as one way of doing it. Like
I think we determine which ones are more valuable based on like how much, even if you're just basing it on like ability. So like, and or and the I yield. The I yield, I think, would be another one that would be kind of low. But you could do like 3.
If you went by value, but their importance seems
right. But and or Kyrian would be like high. Those are like fancy, expensive places.
Okay, let's just try to think of sets of 3 that would go together right now, and we can maybe decide where to put them.
Yeah, let me make some space off to the side here.
So, like, what are important in the first 6 books? Like you mentioned, the Aiel, and I mean, I actually thought of 3 that would potentially work.
Okay.
You could have Roydion, Cold Rocks Hold, and what is it, Alkeldar?
Yeah, the Golden Bowl.
Those are the only 3 real locations for that.
Roydion, Cold Rocks. And then Alkerdal, I think.
I feel like I should look that up before I get yelled at by the internet. So I was talking to you beforehand. I started listening to Cool Story podcast, and they make a big deal about saying, rate us on stuff and make sure you email us, and they get interaction, and it's funny as they have people making corrections for them, and I just realized, I don't know if you check the email more than we do, but has anybody corrected us on videos?
Nobody has.
Podcasts?
Nobody's emailed us.
So all I can assume is that we're perfect and made no mistakes.
I mean, we don't
So
actively invite people to correct us.
I know.
Makes a difference.
No, this is the Ben talks about what podcasts are you listening to right now, and that's the new one I started listening to since the Dusty Wheel did their speed dating with podcasters.
Yeah, I wish we could have made that, but life.
No, but I saw a couple podcasts and I started listening to these two people. I'd have to double check on their pronouns because I think one of them is a they them.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, no, they're really awesome. It's really fun, and I love listening to new podcasts that I haven't listened to before. But okay, yeah, sorry. Back to Monopoly.
Yeah, I think for Andor, I think it's easy to do Camelin, Whitebridge, and I wouldn't. So here's the thing. So like, do we want to do Camelin, Whitebridge, and Barrelon? Yeah, I guess
4 kings.
Nah, 4.
Those are the 2 options.
If we were doing first season only, I'd say 4 kings, but I don't think.
And see, but that's what I worry about is saying Emmons Field and Tarn Ferry. Like Emmons Field makes sense. That's why I was like, does the 2 rivers count as one entity?
Well, and that's why I was like not sure on doing. That's why I was thinking Watch Hill or Devon Ride. One of them kind of becomes a little important in book 4.
They're exactly the same importance level. And then do you try to include something like Shatter Logoth? Ooh, do Manetheren and Shatter Logoth as a pair? Potentially? No, doesn't work.
No.
But no, I definitely think for Andor, Camelin, Whitebridge, and Barrelon. Or I don't know what else you would replace the first 2 spots with. I would say Camelin, Whitebridge, and 2 rivers, but then we'd have to figure out something for the first 2 spots.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. I mean, if we wanted to do Borderlands cities, maybe Borderlands is. Ooh, we could do one. Now it's kind of more thematic than anything, but if you wanted to do like fallen things, you could do Malkiar, Manetheren, and what's Shatter Logoth before it was Shatter Logoth? Eredol. You could do that.
You could do that potentially. We'll come back to that. See, this is the problem: is a lot of the other countries we only really see their capital city. Which
I was thinking about that. We like in Tyr we see Tyr, in Ilion we see Ilion. And so if we wanted to do, we could do Shinar. We have Fal Moran, Fal Dara, and something else, or we could do the Borderlands as a whole, which would be we go to Fal Dara. There's the whatever city they're in, Coma, whatever the city is they're in New Spring.
Oh, are you including New Spring? That's true.
It's maybe harder than I thought it would be.
This is what I'm saying is it's like on a larger scale, in some ways it becomes more difficult, but in some ways it becomes easier. Well, okay, let's just try to think of trios of things we can put together. So I can think of 2, Tyr and Mayenne, but what's a third one that could go
Ilion?
Do Ilion with them?
Yeah, I think the 3 of them are kind of make sense as a group. So Tyr, Mayenne, and Ilion.
How many do we need to think of these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them? And we have 3.
Yeah. That's fine. We're halfway there then.
Okay. Ooh,
I think Borderlands.
Kyrian. What is
the problem? Is there's 4 Borderland nations.
I'm trying to think of the harder ones right now. Like, what does Kyrian go with?
Kyrian doesn't go with anything. I mean, if we wanted to do Kyrian, the capital city, 4 Gate, but I can't think of a third one for that. They spend any time in any other city in Kyrian.
And this is what's weird. And now the more we talk about this, is I feel like Wheel of Time is Monopoly. I mean, there's easy ways to do it.
If we had just done like nations, it would have been. We could get enough nations.
We can make it work, but we're talking trying to include enough information through halfway through, sort of.
Yeah.
And then you have Falm.
Is Dumai's Wells in Kyrian?
It's connected.
We could do Kyrian, 4 Gate, and Dumai's Wells.
Potentially, yeah. It's connected enough. Huh. I'm just curious now. I gotta go back to looking at other Monopoly boards out of curiosity. What do other Monopoly boards do? See, this is annoying. Depending on what pictures I get available that I can look at.
Yeah. No, and you were mentioning Falma. If we do like ports, they haven't gone. That's before Abu Dar. Tanchico? Terrebonne. Which one's the city? Tanchico or Terrebonne? Which one's the name of the country? Which one's the city?
Don't ask me. I don't remember these things. Should know this because somebody's on that part right now. They go. Tanchico is the city.
So we could do Falma, Tanchico.
I almost throw Eridomont.
Well, we brought, if we're doing it as like cities, because Falma and Tanchico are cities. Trying to think of what's the capital of Amadicia?
I mean, I'm looking at stuff and they do some pretty like, okay, I'm looking at the Lord of the Rings one. You have Hobbiton and then Bree, which would be like our Emmonsfield and Tarn Ferry. Then Weathertop, the Ford of Brunnen, and Rivendell. So they're doing a timeline based one.
Yeah, they're doing
based off the movies. This is specifically a movie based one.
Yeah, that's just the timeline, which we could do. I mean, if we wanted to, if we were going to do just first season, I would say do it timeline. Because then
that's why I was
Emmonsfield, because then it would be, oh God, why does scrolling make me zoom in and out? Anyway, because it would be Emmonsfield, Tarrant Ferry, then you could do Barrelon, Shatter Logith, but then they diverge and that makes it a little trickier.
Yeah, and when they split up the party, yeah, that's why it gets confusing when you include.
Ooh, can you name 3 steading?
Sofu, Shanghai. Those are the big 2 I can think of.
I know, everything is 2. Sofu, Shanghai. Come on. Does the map include it? I don't know if the map includes steading.
They do in some of them, I think.
I think the later ones include it more. What? Does this not have a map? Excuse me.
That's not what I meant to do. I don't know what I just did. I broke my computer.
Oh no, don't do that. Okay. No, the German one has maps. Why?
Zoom into the image, thank you.
Oh my.
I thought they included them on some of the maps. I have to actually go grab books. Oh. Not required. Sounds like work.
It's fine. Let's see. List of steading. I mean, there's a bunch of them, but which ones have we heard of?
Sofu and Shanghai. It is Shanghai or Shang?
Sofu is.
Where's Loyal from?
He's from Shanghai, isn't he?
Is that what it is? Shanghai? For some reason, saying it out loud sounds stupid all of a sudden. Sofu is the one by Kyrian. There is obviously no name to this steading that they stay at with the Arthur Hawkwing statue.
There's
Uh,
there's the one near. So like those are the only two that are really important. But there's one. I'm just like looking at the wiki right now. There's the Stedding Gentoina, which is near White Tower. Yeah, there's really only two that are like super important.
yeah.
We could do Shangtai is where the Great Stump is. That's what that one is.
Where the heck is Loyal from? That feels stupid.
I thought he was from Shanghai, but like when he was in Kyrie and he was really nervous because he was like near home or something. That doesn't make sense.
He's nervous about everything. How quickly can I look this up? I probably should just Google it, but you know.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll find it. Yeah, he's from Stedding, Shanghai.
Okay, I always thought I was going crazy. Wow, getting trios is hard when you're talking Wheel of Time, and I feel like, you know, I thought this would be easier.
I really thought it would be. So for Shanghai, that's 2. Borderlands have 4, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, obviously you can go. Do we want to do the Fallen Cities of Malkir, Manetheren, and
yeah, I like that.
Eredhall?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I think those should be green.
Oh, I was thinking those should be. It's weird because you have Eredol in there, but I guess in its time, Manetheren and Eredol. Yeah, I think green makes sense for those because they were like great cities.
Yeah, we're talking about something crazy for those.
So, and we'll make Eredol because there's always one that's less expensive. So we'll make Eredol the less expensive one.
Yeah, it's because obviously, like, for instance, the Andor ones for Camelin, I'm like super expensive. But when you make it all of Andor and you do Camelin, Whitebridge, and Barrelon, I'm like, I could see those as being pink or orange. It's a weird concept.
Yeah. I feel like Manetheren doesn't fit. I'm just gonna put it above it for now, and I'll get it later.
And I wish I could remember exactly which spot it is because there's 2 different. Well, one's Boardwalk, and the other one there's a chance card that goes to
St. James.
Spot.
It's one of the pink ones.
Is it one? No, I thought it was a red one.
So there's pink. Yes, there's 3. There's Boardwalk, St. James, and something else. I think.
But I would almost be like, if I knew exactly which spot it was, because I don't know, I'd have to look at the cards to see if how much they change what's actually on the cards. I'd be like, well, the Andor ones should be one of those colors, and whichever one Kyrian is in should be the other one, because I feel like you should get a card that sends you to Camelin or sends you to Kyrian. You know
that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think it's St. Charles, maybe then, because it's St. Charles.
It's Indiana Avenue, I think, or Illinois Avenue.
Okay.
One or the other.
So we'll make.
But that doesn't matter. That's the more complicated stuff. I'm just kind of.
Well, just determining where they should go would make sense. We can put Camelin in red. I think that's a fair value analysis for Camelin for Andor red.
Yeah.
So we can do.
It's hard to say though, like, because by book 6 is Andor important again, or is it like in the first 2 books they stop through it real quick?
I don't think it's ever not important. Okay, I'm just gonna put these above.
Well, yes, but you know what I mean? Is it kind of similar to a timeline based thing where because of other than Camelin, those other 2 locations don't have any importance after the first book? Really? Do they come back up in the rest of by book 6?
I mean, Whitebridge and Barrelon don't really, but I think that's fine that, like, if we're basing it on, like, the city or the country itself has that level of importance, I think it's fine if the individual cities don't.
And that's why I'm saying this makes this really kind of more difficult rather than like if we did just the first book, we can go timeline based. But this is interesting at least.
I think this is more fun. Yeah, and then do Kyrian on the pink properties. I think that's fair. Nobody likes Kyrian.
That's fair. But what would be the the teal properties then? What would be worth less, but more than the two rivers, so to speak?
Honestly, I was kind of thinking. Okay.
I almost go the steading for that.
If we can think of a third one. Or something that can go with it. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a setting, but something that would fit with it.
Yeah.
Forgate comes before Kyrian because it's right before it.
What would you call the the Eye of the World?
Green Man's Garden?
Yeah, and I mean honestly, and see this, we're so focused on making them important, but like from looking at things, the Green Man's Garden is something that could be put on here realistically.
If we can do that,
go full on Eye of the World.
So if we want that for even if it's not,
I think the teal.
Yeah, so have Green Man's Garden and then the two steading.
Yeah, and this is like I said, I know we're not going timeline based, and this is why I was debating is having Kyrian before Camelin. It almost feels like it should be the other way around. It almost feels like you could go timeline based.
Yeah. And then Green Man's Garden. Do we want to call it Green Man's Garden or Eye of the World?
Eye of the World seems too big of a deal, you know what I mean? So Green Man's Garden. Either or. Eye of the World is just an easier title. In my opinion, Green Man's Garden sounds like very generalized.
Yeah.
Because it's for cheaper
Thanks
property,
for that.
Green Man's Garden makes more sense.
Yeah.
What? Me dropping my phone?
Mm-hmm.
But Green Man's Garden makes more sense for a cheaper property.
Okay, and then we have everything, because then...
okay, so...
got Aiel and then Tyrion and
Oh, we need one more.
No, we don't.
Wait. So, just for, we're talking about colors and stuff, so let me just go over... Oh, I guess I'll go over it once we put these in.
Yeah, so where do we want... So we have orange and yellow left. Any preference?
This is a difficult one, actually.
Are we going with series importance to denote value, or are we going with like actual value?
We're talking within the first 6 books. I think I would go the... this is difficult.
I think
it really
maybe
is.
I think put Tyrmai and Ilion in orange, and then if we're going like importance in terms of like a lot of other things, we could do Ruity and Cold Rocks and Alkerdal in yellow.
For the yellow. Honestly, I'm happy with this, but at the same time, I feel like I might switch. I almost want to go timeline.
I just feel weird that we don't have the Borderlands represented. For some reason, that's really bugging me. We don't have
the Borderlands. We don't have any of the the East Coast cities. So I'm wondering, should we? I know we've done all this, but should we almost go?
I think if we were going to make an alternative one that was just book 1, or we could do a timeline one if we wanted to do. We could do book 1, which would be like what we talked about, like Emmons Field, Terran Ferry, Barrelon, Shatter Logith.
Oh yeah, going just book 1 or book 1 and 2.
I guess Whitebridge would be the next location. Camelin, Baldara. So, okay. I don't know if there's enough locations even, but
that's why I said doing an expanded makes it slightly easier but slightly harder, is because there is more locations. Well, okay, are we comfortable with where we're at with everything?
Really, the only thing is I feel weird that the Borderlands aren't represented beyond
I
Malkier.
know.
That's the only
Do we
thing that's
need-
really making me feel weird, but I don't know where I would. So the problem is there's 4 Borderlands. So we can't like include them as nations, but we don't know, and we can't even like represent just the capitals because that would again be 4. So I just don't really see how we could represent the Borderlands well. Unless we wanted to change our railroads. That would be the only thing.
There's a couple of we can. I'm trying to think on changes. So what we could do instead is if we eliminated the steading,
which I would be okay with,
and then we go to also eliminating the Aiel, and we do Roidion, Eye of the World, and what could go with them.
And what are you going for, like themes like wonders or
kind of similar to how we did Manetheren, Eredal, and Malkier, which I think are great ones to have, and I don't want to get rid of them though because they kind of work.
Yeah, so if you wanted to do the Eye of the World, Roidion, that's later series. I had one, but it's later.
We could also,
if we the other thing would be doing major climaxes, so it would be the first 3 climaxes would be Eye of the World, Fall, Muln, and a Tear.
I was gonna say we could get rid of White Tower and Black Tower and put the Eye of the World and something else there, and then we can use Tar-Valon because I feel like using Tar-Valon and the White Tower doesn't make sense.
Right. So if you wanted to do, if you wanted to do that, we could do Tar-Valon, maybe Amadicia, like places that are political powers, but not really.
And that's why I'm like, there's a lot of locations I feel like we didn't use, but we. The steading I could see getting rid of potentially, but then I feel like we'd have to shift things a little bit.
Oh yeah, we'd have to rotate stuff around if we got rid of the steading.
So I'm almost thinking going more timeline based slightly. I know what I said is I'd almost shift the Andor ones to the teal.
Okay. And so make it more timeline based. So you're thinking right now, you're currently talking, get rid of, I'm just going to move these over here in case we want them later. Getting rid of these and then putting Andor in the teal spaces at the beginning.
And because of what we chose for Andor, it makes more sense as a timeline thing than a value thing.
I suppose. Leave Kyrian. I would leave Tyr, Ilian, Mayan where they are.
Well, unless we shifted the Kyrian ones up to orange and did Borderlands in some way for pink.
I would be fine with the Borderlands if we use the Borderlands doing them in red. I know we're kind of like doing a pseudo timeline thing, pseudo not.
I know this is what I never realized. I didn't realize how difficult this was going to be. I thought this would be like a breeze.
Well, I had come up with like all the special stuff. I had not even thought about the locations really.
And I didn't realize how complicated it would get. Because like there's so many ways you could do this. Like it's crazy. I definitely think going Black Tower and White Tower for the dark
I feel pretty strong about those as blue.
I'm very strong. There's very few changes I could see. Like I said, I could maybe switch them out for like Eye of the World and Roidion.
I like them there. I think I like including the Aiel locations.
But I don't know if having all 3 Aiel locations is the only thing.
Unless we wanted to do, we could it would be kind of a weird thing, but to have maybe get rid of Valkyr Doll, move Cold Rock's holdover, and just have the 4 Borderlands cross into yellow.
Well, and there is that. But do we get all 4 Borderlands within the first 6 books, though? Not really.
We know of them. We don't necessarily visit them.
They're not
the ones that would be important. The only 2 that are really important are Saldea and Shinar. We meet Arafelans, and then Kandor is New Spring.
And like I said, we also have completely ignored all of the whole Eridomon, Tomb and Head, all that stuff is not on here at all. Also,
yeah, but I don't know. I don't feel like those are super important locations. I know we have a massive climax there, but it's not. The other thing would be maybe
Um,
doing like non-Westlands and doing like the threefold land Shara and Shanshan.
that is possibly one way of including them. 'Cause
And
I
I
was
would
gonna
keep
say
them
the
at yellow.
other way is to do if we could somehow come up because the Kyrie and Forgate and Dumai's well seems kind of weird.
It's definitely
It
a little
works.
strange.
It works, and this is what I'm thinking is because kind of how we did. I mentioned Mayan, Ilion, and Tyr. I think that's a good combination, but they're not the same nation, and I think we could go Thom. What is it? Erdoman, Terabon, and
Turban, Erdogan,
Amadisia.
Amadisia. Yeah.
Putting those three together.
Which is what I was saying. We could have done nations from the start, which would be doing Kyrie and Camelin. And what on earth would you do
We
with?
would run out eventually, I think.
I think we have enough nations. I just don't know Kyrie and Camelin, and what would be the third one you would do with that?
And that's why I said if I was gonna go nations, I'd actually make Kyrian and Camelin our dark
Or
blues.
brown. Oh, you would do. No, I like leaving white tower, black tower for blue, no matter what we're doing. But like, I kind of think replacing the yellow, doing Shan, Shan, Shar, and Aiel, or threefold land. I think I would prefer for the yellows.
Threefold land, the waste.
Well, the waste, which is the threefold land.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think what would be the best. I think I can agree with that one.
Okay. Let me move these guys off. And I think that makes sense for the yellow. Okay, do we have any preference of which one goes where, though? That's the next question.
I would say go the waste is the cheapest and Shanchan is the most expensive.
Okay.
Question mark?
No, I would do Shara last. I would do the waste.
I mean, the waste is the cheapest, kind of just makes sense because it is just it's a barren area.
Right.
Shanchan and Shara, it's like, do you want to go economic or military? For which one's more important, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Shan Chan then Shar, just because Shar is by itself. Unless we want to go geographic, then the waste and
that's so listeners. I mean, we're just talking about. If you're very familiar with Monopoly boards, we're talking. You'll understand completely. If not, bring up a picture of one might help you.
Feel like you should have said that a while ago.
Oh, I know. Well, beforehand, I didn't realize how chaotic this was going to get. We're just trying to decide right now is, what three things can go together? Because other than the cheapest and most expensive properties on Monopoly, everything is in groups of three. And, this is surprisingly difficult.
I think the 3 red should be Borderlands then, in some way. I don't know how we want to represent them. Ooh, there goes. Let me grab my charger. But, oh, good. That's going to be fun. Anyway, this is going to be a mess to edit. Anyway, I definitely think going with the Borderlands in some way. I just feel bad that one of them's going to not be represented in some manner,
And that's what I'm like. I'm wondering. Okay, so we have Kyrie and the 4K and Dumai's wells.
Mm-hmm.
The more we're editing things, those 3 don't make sense.
Not as we get to bigger things. That's what I'm saying is if we wanted to make it, but you think still keep Andor split up.
That still kind of works a little bit. We'll come back to that.
What if we just did? No. But I think if we wanted to, we could do Andor, Kyrian, but we need a third nation to go with those. And I don't know what third would fit with those 2. And then that leaves us with another 3 we got to figure out.
Okay.
Which could be the Tanchico or Terabon, Eridomon, Terabon, Amadisia. Oh, wait, what's that? There's the other one. Oh my God. It's not super important early on, but
No.
Starts with an M.
Thinking of the weird.
The one. No, it's another nation. That's not super. Why do I have my books all blocked in?
Okay, I'm trying to think.
Everything I'm
I mean,
thinking
why
is
don't I
from
just bring up
later.
the map?
Yeah, bring up the map. Oh my gosh, what is it?
Starts with an M. Mirandi.
Murundi. We could do Andor, Kyrian, and Murundi. I would do those maybe in the pinks, and then do our 3 coastal cities in the teal. Our coastal countries in the teal.
Yeah, if we're gonna do that, then I would switch Browns to Two Rivers and Barrelon, or Two Rivers and Whitebridge. I still think having them.
I wouldn't want it to be. I get 2 rivers, but I wouldn't want it to be another city. Wouldn't make sense with that. But there's nothing that really matches with 2 rivers well.
We could just do. But I was going to say Two Rivers and the Steading as a general term.
Yeah, we could do that.
Might work. It just seems it might be a little spread out.
I'd be okay with that. Doing Steading. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Doing Steading and then the 2 rivers for our brown properties.
Because, I mean, if we're going nation-wise, we still have Gildon, Altara.
All right, there's going to be ones we don't have represented, but I'm okay with that. As long as we're hitting, like, the ones that are important early on. Like, I don't know, what does Gildon do the entire time?
It doesn't get included until later, I think.
Yeah, and Altara is the same way. It's not important till later.
Is Altara included at all?
That's where Abu Dar is. Abu Dar.
What the heck happens in Abu Dar?
Lots of stuff, but later on. Way too much,
my
to be honest.
phone's like acting really weird all of a sudden for me trying to look at a map.
But I like the idea of doing the teals No. I would make those our pinks. I think the blue, the teal should be Amador,
Zoom
Terabon, and Terabon, and with the Eridomon. I think those as the teals.
See, now Eridomon doesn't come up until later, actually.
Well, that's where Toman Head is, though.
Palm is. Sorry, yeah. Never mind.
And then making our pinks.
And this is why I was wondering, do you want to go the actual nation's name? Or do you want to go Falm, Tanchico?
Go with the capitals?
And Amador, because it's Amadecia. I think because as a nation, they don't get mentioned too much.
Okay, so go with the capitals instead. That makes sense.
Falm, Tanchico, and Amador. Amador and Amadecia is much more, because I was gonna the same with the Camelin Kyrian one. Is it Camelin we go with or Andor?
I would go with Andor. So Tanchico.
But we're talking like. We're going to say Mirandi, but does Mirandi come up at all really in the first 6 books?
Not really, but it's the only thing that makes sense to pair with those 2.
I mean, we could throw what we... This is a little weird. We could go... Oh, Faldaras and Shinar?
Yes.
That's that nation? I didn't realize that. Because I was going to say you can go Kyrian, Camelin, and Faldara in a weird way.
And then do the other 3 borderlands for the
as just
red.
Their nation names, because we don't get anything outside of that for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so instead of Murundi, get out of here, Murundi.
Because that just doesn't come up, and like I said,
it does come up later, and there's a very good scene later on that just makes me laugh. But yeah, so we could do those and just do them in the location. So do the cities or the nations?
I think the cities, because
Camelin, Baldara, Kyrian.
I mean, Kyrian obviously because the nation and the city are the same.
Well, yeah.
It's a cheat. And like, Shinar, we do get mentioned, but it's like Faldara is more important to the story than the nation of Shinar, if that makes sense. At least in the first 6 books.
In the first couple books. Okay. So Camelin, Faldara, and then do the last 3 borderland nations for the last area. What is that red we have left?
Yeah. And I mean, Saldea definitely comes up. Kandor has to do with New Spring, and Arafel might as well not exist when you think about it really in the books.
There's like a character from Arafel that I love dearly, but yeah, so we'll do Arafel.
Arafel, Kandor, and then Saldea I think should be the most expensive of those.
Yeah. Arafel, Kandor, and Saldea. Okay. Are we happy with this, Ben, or are you going to make me redo the whole thing again?
Look, I make you redo things for good reasons because it was weird.
All right.
Too much for perfectionists. So, all right. So we got Wheel of Time Monopoly. For starting off at Go, starting with the
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, I'm just trying to get stuff out of the way that we're not using. We're not using 4-gate. We're not using Do Might As Wells.
If you're familiar with Monopoly board or not, just follow along. So our first batch of properties is our 2 cheapest properties. We're going with the 2 rivers, the Steading and 2 rivers. After that, we hit our teal properties, which are our next, and we go with Amador, Tanchico, and Falm, which are our East Coast-ish area. Going past the jail, we come to our pink properties with Camelin, Faldara, and Kyrien. We come up to our orange properties, which is Mayen, Ilion, and Tyr. Past our free parking into our red properties as Arafel, Kandor, and Saldea. Coming to our yellow properties, we have the Waste, Shanchan, and Shara. Past the Go to Jail, or how we like to describe it as Go to Shale Ghoul. Our green properties are Eridhall or Shadow Logan. I don't know which I'd prefer. I think because we're going ancient cities,
I would leave it as Eridhall.
Makes more sense. Manetherin and Malkir. And then our final 2 properties are expensive properties is the Black Tower and the White Tower.
Awesome.
I think that works.
I think it does. And I will make this pretty. And we're not making cards, but I will make the board pretty. Unless Ben goes crazy and decides to make our card crowns and stones cards, then he can do what he wants.
I don't want it. I think this works. It's actually that took much more work than I thought it would.
I think this might be a long episode.
I blame you for saying we should do halfway through the series. We should have just done the first season. But no, I think this definitely works. It's interesting, and I don't know. I don't know if you agree with this, Jessi, but I think we should see if any other content creators want to try to take other classic board games and make them Wheel of Time.
I definitely think they should. I think you could have a fun time with some other classic board games. We could get a Game of Life, Clue. I think it'd be a fun time.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. Is there anybody particular you think might be interesting to have them do this?
Who do I know that likes board games? Well, that would be listening to this, because I was going to say the Wheel Reads. They're big board game people, but they can't listen because they're only on book 5. No, I don't know if I want to call anybody out in particular, unless you want to.
I mean, I would love if Unraveling the Pattern would do it, just because they're good at all this visual stuff, but not for what. No, I think it'd be fun if we can get other content creators, and once this goes up, we'll tweet it and tag maybe some content creators and be like, "Hey, do you want to try this?" Might be fun, but we're not going to obviously try to push it anywhere. But it was a challenge. Maybe this wasn't as easy as I thought it'd be, and some things might be easier.
Okay, I think that's it then. Any last words, Ben?
just the classic I'm gonna sell ourselves is like this, comment on videos, share it, look at our Patreon, our Twitter, our Instagram, all the button pushes and star ratings and comments that you can do to make this stuff stand out more. But no,
Yeah.
just share whatever you want to share with us. It's nice to hear from people, and it's great to have listeners, and we love all of you.
All right. And we will see you the next time the wheel turns. Oh, I guess let me stop sharing my screen first so you guys can see us. All right. And on that note, we will see you the next time the wheel turns.